Right, and now we're going to create a scatter plot of current versus voltage. We're going to add max and min slope possible lines. So we'll start with inserting the scatter chart. Insert, go to charts, grab the insert XY without lines. I'm going to right click and go to select data, add the series name. This is going to be voltage versus current. Series X values equals, click, drag, hold, the X values are current. Series Y values, voltage, click, drag, hold all the way down, click OK, and this is a good sign. I have a negative slope. I need to add axes titles. Remember, title / unit, and we're going to add a trend line and display equation on the chart. More options by clicking the arrow. Make sure you have the vertical green bar selected, display equation on chart, and I can edit this. What I want to do just to differentiate it from the other equations that will pop up, I will outline this in blue to match the graph. Okay. Now we're going to do our max and min slope possible lines. Oh, right, I forgot I have to add error bars. My apologies. Error bars on here, click them on, and if you double click the horizontal ones and then you click the vertical error bars underneath the formatting, you can specify custom value, and the custom value for the negative and positive will be equal to this. This is for current. They just so happen to be the same, and the negative also spans to the left, this value. Okay. And then do the same thing for the vertical. Custom specify plus or minus 0.01 volts. So I denote that with the error bars. Okay. Now the error bars are displayed and you can just see them. Now I'm not adding the titles and the units, but you will do this. Now let's focus on max and min slope possible. For the maximum slope possible, you want the least negative value for the slope. So you would generate a graph with a slope value that is forced to lie flatter and one that touches ideally all of the error bars. Now, IB would expect you to draw this by hand, but honestly, there's a technique I can show you. It's a shortcut. It works for most values, and it should work for this as well. So we can generate a max slope possible line using Excel just by focusing on the extreme data points. I'm going to call this data point 6 being the highest value in my set, and this will be data point 1. So to generate the max slope possible, I try to come up with a line that will lie flatter, producing a less negative slope and hit all of the error bars. But just by looking at the two extreme data sets, if I take my highest value, what I'm calling x6, and subtract the uncertainty, and then if I take the highest y value, which I'm calling y6, and subtract the uncertainty, it makes the line lie flatter up top. It puts the data set lower. You can visualize. And then if I do for the lowest data set, I add the uncertainty, the x value, and I add the uncertainty, the y value, it'll make the line lie flatter. So for my max slope possible, I will say that this equals, this is my 6th data set here, minus the uncertainty for the voltage. I guess I'm doing y and x here. Oops. Trying to keep it in XY format. Okay, so I will take my highest data point. This is my x6. I will subtract the uncertainty. The corresponding y value for this is y6, and also subtracting the uncertainty for voltage. For the lower data point, you grab the y1 and you'll add the uncertainty. Whoops, shift equals. Add the uncertainty for the x, and then this will be the corresponding y1, and then you add the uncertainty for the y. Okay, Now you right click the graph and you go to select data, go to add, and I will call this max slope possible. The series X values, I'll drag these, series Y values, click drag hold, click OK. And now same thing, I will have to go back and add a chart title. Sometimes it pops off, but that's fine. And we'll add a trend line, more options, choose the max slope possible line. And then as before, make sure to go to trend line options, display equation on chart. You can see that the internal resistance value gets less negative. When I take the absolute value though, that'll be the internal resistance. Oh yeah, and we want to edit this. I'll do it in orange. So if I edit the text box here, it helps me to distinguish later what are my equations. And now I will generate the min slope possible line. Min slope possible line will have the most negative slope, even though when I take the absolute value or I negate the slope value to get the internal resistance, it'll be a larger internal resistance. So to generate the min slope possible line, what I try to do is force the graph to have the most extreme values. So I will focus again on my endpoints, take the x6 value, add the uncertainty, so equals, this is my x6 for current, plus the uncertainty, corresponding y value, plus the uncertainty. I will get the x1 value and subtract the uncertainty. I will do the same thing for the y1 value, subtract the uncertainty. Okay, again, right click and go to select data, add, series name, this will be min slope possible. The series X values just as before. Series Y values. Okay. One more thing, make sure to add your trend line. Click over on this arrow, more options. Then you can select your min slope possible line. It has the most negative slope value. Display equation on chart. And indeed, this looks nice. And then when it comes to filling in the color, just choose gray. All right, and there you have it, max and min slope possible lines. Hopefully with this is enough to get you through the simulation. Thanks for watching, and be sure to submit this to Turnitin.com when you're done.